What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I wanted to break down what's going on with the overall market. I want to talk about what happened to Tesla today as Tesla's looking relatively weak, what's happening to the market so far as we got this massive pump, and how things are looking in my opinion. But before I break anything down, all this information, before I talk about Tesla's stock and talk about something very important, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Anyways, looking at the markets, I wanted to call out something very important. I was talking about how, in my opinion, there was a squeeze coming to Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and all these tickers. And I was correct about everything except for Tesla, and that's because we had an external piece of news. So I'm sure you guys remember my video from yesterday and also when the earnings had come out. Let's go over my track record. So I said SPY would likely explode and see a squeeze, and that's going to drag Tesla up. So we got this squeeze on SPY. SPY went from 489 all the way up to 494.6 as of right now. That's the high. It could even attempt to break that high. It got this massive squeeze as predicted. SPY got this big pump. Tesla, however, it's trying to push with SPY. You guys can see right here. But the reason why Tesla was relatively weak was because we got this bad piece of news about how Tesla had to recall 2.2 million vehicles. There's no way I could have predicted this, and this caused Tesla to start off very weak before it started to turn and try to keep up with SPY. So, if anything, if that news did not come out, Tesla could have exploded today. We could have seen this thing run into the 190s very easily. If we started off much higher and we didn't get any very bad headlines, Tesla would have run with SPY and we could have seen a massive run on Tesla because of how the market is pumping, right? So that would have happened if it wasn't for that bad news. There's no way I could have predicted the bad news would come this morning because sometimes they're very spontaneous and it is what it is. But Tesla's trying to hold up, is trying to push with the market, still looking very weak because of the bad news. I told everyone that as long as Apple held 180, right? In this video I recorded right here, I said as long as we hold 180, Apple should try to rebound. If you look at this, we came just below 180. We hit 179. Then we started to rebound. We got a rebound on Apple as predicted. We got a nice rebound. We're back in the 185s. This was as we predicted. For the QQQ, okay, I said this thing is going to bounce. It's going to squeeze. We went from 422 all the way up to 429. A crazy, almost 8 point pump on the QQQ. Absolutely, absolutely insane for the triple Q as predicted. Right, Nvda. I said this thing is going to explode and help the market pump. Nvidia went even higher than expected. I was talking about the 650s. This thing went up to 666 technically. So it's insane. Nvidia got the pump. We were correct about all of these different things. We said Microsoft would pump. We got the pump on Microsoft. We said this about all these different tickers. Meta is up 21%. It's on fire. Amazon's on fire. We predicted all of this and everything was correct except for Tesla. Tesla's the only one that didn't really get that big squeeze. It's trying to bounce with the market, but it kind of failed because of the bad news. So I just wanted to make that as clear as possible. I know a lot of people in the comment section may say things about me. They have the right to do it, and I'm totally okay with that. But I just want to call out that, look, I make mistakes. I'm human. I can't predict every single headline that comes out, but the majority of my videos are correct when it comes to predictions, at least historically for this year. And I was right about, the squeeze that we got on SPY in the markets. So let's just talk about more data, and I'm going to break down the charts. What's going on with the data? We have a little bit over 500,000 calls expiring on SPY and over a million puts expiring with a 2.12 puts to call ratio. This is why we got the squeeze. The market makers knew everyone was trying to short SPY, expecting a crash, especially after Jerome Powell's speech. So they caused the opposite. They caused this massive short squeeze. That's why SPY was pumping. As for Tesla, the bad news that came out is that Tesla has recalled 2.2 million vehicles for a software update to fix the warning lights. I even gave you guys a warning about this in the morning. This was not Tesla's fault, technically speaking. This is just something that happened, and there were new regulations that came out. This is just a very minor thing. The media is just exaggerating about this. It has more to do with just the light, and it's not really meeting the NHTSA's standards. Technically, it's a very minor thing, actually, from what I was looking at, and despite that, Tesla has to meet the regulations. They have to fix this. It's not like Tesla has to take every single one of those 2.2 million vehicles in and just like repair them. It's just an over-the-air software update that fixes that. So it's just very interesting because of the fact that some of the warning lights were too small. This is the only issue. The warning lights are just too small, so that's just pretty minor, pretty crazy. So for that reason, the media is screaming, Tesla has a recall, a giant recall is coming, it's recalling millions of vehicles, this and that. And that's what's causing the fear, which caused Tesla to underperform. If this news did not come out, Tesla could have exploded today into the 190s very, very easily. But because of this headline, this slowed things down quite a bit. So now let's just talk about the charts. What is Tesla doing? We're trying to rebound. We came very close to this resistance right here in the 186.5 area. Uh, if anything, watch support. If we do return back down, there's 185, 184.4, 182.5. That's where we bounced from. And if we lose that, 180 is our next support. Right now, Tesla's trying to push into the 186s. We're watching this resistance right here. We also have resistance up here around 188. So we're going to be watching that very, very carefully. We're approaching this resistance zone. Tesla's trying to push up higher. Make sure you watch that carefully. Tesla is a little bit weak because of all this negative headlines, but the market is trying to help this thing push a little bit. You could see how it's responding to the market. When the market's pushing, Tesla's trying to follow the trend. But because of the bad news, it's just a little bit weaker. So now we're going to be watching Tesla at resistance right here. We'll see if Tesla can break above 186.5. If it does so, 188 is a real possibility. Otherwise, it's just going to be stuck in shuffling between 186.5 and 185 for now. And I think that's what's going to happen, at least for the time being. Now, what about SPY? Do I think SPY is going to explode forever? The answer is no. I think that SPY is looking very strong right now, and we're approaching some tight resistance right here at 495. 495 is going to be some tough resistance. If we break that, 497 and 499 are technically possible, but I just want to say that I think SPY is going to top between 495 and 499, basically somewhere in this range. We're going to find the top. It's hard to predict exactly where, and then we're going to see a rejection somewhere. I don't know exactly where it is yet. We're not ready to reject yet, but we're going to be watching to see how we end up responding to 495. So just be careful. If we break above the 495 zone, we could go a little higher, but then there's going to be a rejection coming. So I want everyone to just be very careful. I think SPY will reverse between 495 and 499 to 500 around up here. In this range, somewhere SPY is going to form a top, so be very careful. Could we push a little bit more into 495 plus? It is technically possible. We're still favoring the bulls, but make sure you watch your levels just to be safe. Just like SPY, I think the QQQ is going to follow the trend. We're on a nice uptrend where we're approaching this resistance close to 430 as predicted. Now, could we break 430 and push up to 432? Sure, we can. It's always a possibility. But we're at some tight resistance at 430. The resistance is getting tougher, so I don't really expect the QQQ to just explode from here. We might reject very close to the low 430, so just be very, very careful, especially going into next week. We have some tight resistance up here, so I just want to warn you to be careful. Did we get the pump we were looking for? Yes, we did. The QQQ actually reached our levels. I was talking about this peak being retested, and that's what we did. Now we're going to be watching to see if we get a rejection, so just be very careful in your 430. If it does break that, which we could do, 432 will be our next target, but be careful on the QQQ. That is my warning. For Nvda is still very strong. We're still holding above 660. And here are some levels to watch for on Nvidia. If we break down, watch 658. If we lose that, our next target will be down here to 650. Basically, these wicks right here at 654 and 652. For resistance, watch this trend line right here around 662. If we break that, 666 and then 670 are coming. As of right now, we're kind of shuffling between 658 and 666. We might just continue to do so for the remainder of the day, but overall, Nvidia is still holding up very nicely. Make sure you watch resistance and see how well Nvidia holds. Otherwise, I see it holding up quite nicely for the time being. Aapl, we mentioned that Aapl should break out and bounce as long as we hold above 180. That's what I was talking about. I told you that if we lost 180, expect 178 to be the bounce area, if not 180. If we instead, we actually just came down just temporarily. They're grabbing liquidity here, triggering stops, and we came right back up immediately to 180. And since we held above 180 for almost the entire day, we got a nice rebound as we predicted. So Apple's currently at 186. Very close to 186. Watch resistance at 186.5. If we break above this and we continue to hold above this, we do have potential to push up to 188. Watch support at 185.5 and also 185. If we lose 185, we could be dropping to the lower 184s. Otherwise, I think Apple's kind of stuck. It's been stuck between 185 and 186.5 for almost 4 hours for the most part. So I think there's a good chance we just remain in this range, and we're just going to see this thing shuffle as time goes on. So with that being said, thank you all so much for listening. The market, and this is my warning for everyone, the market could push higher. We could see buyers continue to step in, but be careful. I think SPY will top between 495 and 499 to 500 around there. That's where we're going to top. And also don't forget that Tesla is a little bit weaker than the markets because of all this bad news that came out that dragged it down. It made it a little bit more difficult for Tesla to run, acting as an anchor. Tesla's trying to push at this resistance right here, so watch it carefully. We could have ran even harder if it wasn't for the bad news. Tesla could have easily hit the 190s, 195, high levels like that. So instead, we're just barely testing resistance right now up here. We're going to be watching to see if we can try to get closer to this 187.5 to 188 area. And we're going to be watching Tesla at least for the time being. So watch and see how it reacts to resistance. It's trying to show some life. And with that being said, guys, please have an absolutely spectacular weekend. The market closes in just about 2 hours. Take care, get ready, and be cautious up here with the markets. And I'll see you guys very soon. The way the market is moving is what we predicted from yesterday, and we're going to be very careful from this point on. Thanks again, guys. Tesla in the market to the moon, and peace out.